The Galactic Council had made a grave miscalculation. When the Jothic swarm descended upon the human colony of New Brisbane, they expected what they always found: panic, chaos, and eventually, submission. The insectoid warriors had conquered 47 worlds in the past decade alone. Their carapaces could withstand plasma fire. Their mandibles could slice through reinforced steel. Their numbers were legendary. What they didn't expect was Sarah Chen. The council chambers on Station Kepler hummed with 100 different languages as Ambassador Velcora reviewed the tactical displays. The Jothic had taken the colony's southern continent. 17,000 colonists were trapped in underground shelters. The council's combined fleet wouldn't arrive for another 6 standard days. "The humans have responded to our distress relay," Velcora's aide chirped, their crystalline form refracting the holographic light into prismatic patterns. "Excellent," Velcora boomed, their massive frame settling with relief. When humanity joined the Galactic Council 3 years prior, they'd been dismissed as newcomers, a species barely past their fusion age. But the Council had learned to respect human military coordination. "How many ships?" "No ships, Ambassador." Velcora's 3 eyes narrowed. "Battalions? Surely they're sending their Marines." "No battalions, 1 individual." The ambassador's laugh echoed through the chamber, a sound like grinding tectonic plates. Several council members turned to observe. "1 human." This is their response? Do they mock our situation? But the aide's next words silenced the room. "The human government said, and I quote, 'You have her children. She's already on her way. Stay out of her path.'" Sarah Chen's drop pod screamed through New Brisbane's atmosphere like a falling star, leaving a trail of ionized particles in its wake. She'd been in her kitchen making lunch when the emergency beacon reached Earth. Her daughter Emma, her brilliant, beautiful Emma, was a xenobiologist stationed on New Brisbane. Her son Marcus was there too, fresh out of the academy assigned to the colony's security force. The Jothic had her children. The pod crashed into the contested zone with enough force to crater the ground. Sarah emerged, checking her equipment with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd raised 2 children through their teenage years. If she could survive Marcus's rebellious phase and Emma's experimental cooking, she could survive this. Her armor wasn't military grade, it was mining equipment, reinforced and modified. Her weapon wasn't a plasma rifle, it was an industrial mining laser repurposed for a singular goal. The Jothic warriors chittered in their clicking language as they surrounded the crater, mandibles clacking with anticipation. They'd never encountered a human mother before. The first wave came at her like a living tsunami. Sarah's laser carved through chitin and flesh with surgical precision, but it wasn't her weapon that made the Jothic hesitate. It was her absolute refusal to stop. A mandible sliced through her shoulder plating. She didn't flinch. Acid spray burned across her helmet. She kept advancing. "You took my babies," she said, her voice transmitted through her armor's external speakers. Not a shout, not a threat, a simple statement of fact. The Jothic didn't understand English, but they understood tone. They understood the primal force advancing through their ranks like an unstoppable natural disaster. On Station Kepler, the council watched in stunned silence as their sensors tracked Sarah's progress. She'd been fighting for 6 hours straight. The Jothic kept sending reinforcements. She kept moving forward. "This is impossible," whispered Ambassador Velcora. "She should be dead 100 times over." "You don't understand humans," replied the Earth's new ambassador, a young woman named Patricia Okonkwo. "You sent warriors, soldiers, professionals." She smiled grimly. "Earth sent a mother." The Jothic had evolved as a hive species, where individuals were expendable components of the greater whole. They understood sacrifice for the collective. What they couldn't comprehend was sacrifice for something smaller. For 2 people out of billions. Sarah found the shelter entrance buried under Jothic fortifications. Her armor was failing, her left arm hung useless, and she'd run out of ammunition an hour ago. She'd been using a broken Jothic limb as a club. The hive commander emerged, a massive specimen twice her size, its carapace decorated with the scars of 1,000 battles. It saw her, battered, bleeding, barely standing, and made the mistake of standing between her and the shelter entrance. Sarah Chen had taught her children to ride bicycles. She'd scared away bullies in playgrounds. She'd sat through terrible school plays and congratulated Emma on her participation in the science fair. Even when the volcano experiment exploded, She'd held Marcus through his nightmares and Emma through her heartbreaks. The Hive commander never stood a chance. When the shelter doors finally opened, Marcus and Emma Chen burst out to find their mother sitting on the remains of the Jothic command structure, covered in gore, missing half her armor and somehow still conscious. "Mom?" Emma's voice cracked. Sarah looked up, her face splitting into a tired smile. "Hey, babies. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was murder." Marcus laughed, the sound breaking into a sob as he and Emma rushed forward to support her. "Mom, you're insane." "You came alone, through an entire army." "Of course I came alone," Sarah said, wincing as they helped her up. "You think I'd wait 6 days for a committee to decide if my children were worth saving?" The Galactic Council's fleet arrived 2 days later to find the Jothic in full retreat. When asked for a formal report, Sarah Chen simply stated, "They were between me and my kids. I went through them." The incident became legendary. The Jothic never attacked another human colony. Not because they feared human weapons or human ships. They feared what humans would become when you threatened what they loved. Ambassador Velcora revised the entry in the Galactic Encyclopedia that night. Under humans' military capabilities, they added a new section. Note, never under any circumstances threaten their offspring. They call it maternal instinct. We call it a natural disaster with a purpose. Sarah Chen returned to Earth, received a medal she didn't want, and went back to her kitchen. She had grandchildren to spoil after all, and that was infinitely more important than being a galactic legend. But every species in the galaxy now knew. You could send armies, fleets, and champions. Humans would send something far more terrifying. They'd send a mom,